They were founded basically 26 years ago, as of 2 days ago, August 18th, 1988. Sorry, 36 years ago. Apologies, not 26. August 18th, 1988. So I'm reading this actually. This was published actually in Yale Law School law library. Just kind of interesting. So it goes as following: Hamas Covenant 1988, the covenant of the Islamic resistance movement. In the name of the most merciful Allah, ye are the best nation that hath been raised up unto mankind. Ye command that which is just, and ye forbid that which is unjust, and you believe in Allah. And if they who have received the scriptures had believed, they're starting out with a quote from the Quran. It had surely been the better for them. There are believers among them, but the greater part of them are transgressors. They shall not hurt you, unless with a slight hurt, and if they fight against you, they shall turn their backs to you, and they shall not be helped. They are smitten with vileness, wheresoever they are found, unless they obtain security by entering into a treaty with Allah, a treaty with men. And they draw on themselves indignation from Allah, and they are afflicted with poverty. This they suffer because they disbelieve in the signs of Allah and slew the prophets unjustly. This because they were rebellious and transgressed. This is something called Al Imran, verses 109, 111. So here it goes. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. This is from Hassan al-Banna. This is the guy who founded, I think that this is the guy who founded the Muslim Brotherhood, if I'm not mistaken. Imam Hassan al-Banna. Let's look that up. Just want to make sure that this is the guy. Yes, he's an Egyptian school teacher. He founded the Muslim Brotherhood. The Islamic world is on fire. Each of us should pour some water, no matter how little, to extinguish whatever one can without waiting for the others. Sheikh Ahmed al-Zahawi of blessed memory. Oh, okay. Okay, in the name of most merciful Allah, praise be to Allah, to whom we resort for help, and whose forgiveness. Honestly, I don't even think there's a point to read this because this is all kind of. Oh no, okay, there is a point to read this. I apologize. Okay, who we resort for help and whose forgiveness, guidance, and support we seek. Allah bless the Prophet and grant him salvation, his companions and supporters, and those who carried out his message and adopted his laws. Everlasting prayers and salvation as long as the earth and heaven will last forever. Will last. Hereafter, O people, out of the midst of troubles in the sea of suffering, out of the palpitations of faithful hearts and cleansed arms, out of the sense of duty and in response to Allah's command, the call has gone out rallying people together and making them follow the ways of Allah, leading them to have determined will in order to fulfill their role, to overcome all obstacles and surmount the difficulties on the way. Constant preparation has continued, and so has the readiness to sacrifice life and all that is precious for the sake of Allah. Thus, it was the nucleus of the movement was formed and started to pave its way through the tempestuous sea of hopes and expectations, of wishes and yearnings, of troubles and obstacles, of pain and challenges, both inside and outside. When the idea was ripe, the seed grew, and the plant struck root in the soil of reality, away from passing emotions and hateful haste. The Islamic resistance movement emerged to carry out its role through striving for the sake of its creator, its arms intertwined with those of all the fighters for the liberation of Palestine. The spirits of its fighters meet with the spirits of all the fighters who have sacrificed their lives on the soil of Palestine, ever since it was conquered by the companions of the Prophet. Allah bless him and grant him salvation, and until this day. This covenant of the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, clarifies its picture, reveals its identity, outlines its stand, explains its aims, speaks about its hopes, and calls for its support, adoption, and joining its ranks. Our struggle against the Jews is very great and very serious. It needs all sincere efforts. It is a step that inevitably should be followed by other steps. The movement is but one squadron that should be supported by more and more squadrons from this vast Arab and Islamic world until the enemy is vanquished and Allah's victory is realized. Thus we see them coming on the horizon, and you shall learn about it hereafter. Allah hath written, verily I will prevail, and my apostles, for Allah is strong and mighty. This is something out of Quran that's called dispute. Say to them, this is my way. I invite you to Allah by an evident demonstration, both I and he who followeth me, and I praise be unto Allah. I am not an idolater. Hamas means strength and bravery according to Mu'jam al-Wasit. Definition of the movement. This is a okay. So here goes the articles. There's different articles. There are 36 articles. Interesting. Okay. Article 1. The Islamic resistance movement, the movement's program is Islam. From it draws its ideas, ways of thinking, and understanding of the universe, life, and man. It resorts to it for judgment in all its conduct, and it is inspired by it for guidance of its steps. Article 2. The Islamic resistance movement is one of the wings of the Muslim Brotherhood in Palestine. Muslim Brotherhood movement is a universal organization which constitutes the largest Islamic movement in modern times. It is characterized by its deep understanding, accurate comprehension, and complete embrace of all Islamic concepts of all aspects of life, culture, creed, politics, economics, education, society, justice, and judgment. The spreading of Islam, education, art, information, science of the occult, and conversion to Islam. I don't know if they mean like being against it or for it. Article 3. The basic structure of the Islamic resistance movement consists of Muslims who have given their allegiance to Allah, whom they truly worship. I have created the jinn and humans only for the purpose of worshiping. The jinn is like the demon, kind of weird, who know their duty towards themselves, their families, and their country. In all that, they fear Allah and raise the banner of jihad in the face of the oppressors so that they would rid the land and the people of their uncleanliness, vileness, and evils. But we will oppose truth to vanity, and it shall confound the same, and behold, it shall vanish away.
Can I stop you for a moment?
Sure.
And then I'll go back to muting myself.
Yeah.
Can you read the part about the jinn and man again, please?
Yeah. I have created the jinn and humans only for the purpose of worshiping.
No, that the jinn and humans should worship.
Yeah. Jinn are spirits in Arabic mythology that are said to live on Earth but are invisible to humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a genie, the genies.
That's where the term genie comes from. But
correct.
The jinn, the way they describe it to some extent, superficially sounds like what the Torah describes as the shadim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, see, it says the Quran says the jinn. Sorry. Yeah, go on. I apologize.
Go ahead. Actually, you go.
No, I was going to say, it says the Quran says the jinn were created before humans from a smokeless flame and that they are under the power of prophets.
Yeah. Okay. So the prophets they're under are demonic, satanic prophets. Okay.
Yeah.
And the jinn are evil creatures, harmful, something that we would call in Torah language, damaging spirits, mazikim.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is what Hamas behaves like inhuman, bestial sub creatures. The level of their barbarity, they are not human. It wouldn't surprise me if they were jinn.
Yeah.
Literal, actual jinn.
Yeah, like possessed, like human beings with possessed by these.
Or jinn that materialize.
Yeah.
Okay, because those are creatures. Hamas.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I just wanted to continue with that.
Yeah. All right, Article 4. The Islamic resistance movement welcomes every Muslim who embraces its faith, ideology, follows the program, keeps its secrets. It wants to belong to its ranks and carry out the duty. Allah will certainly reward such one. Article 5. Time extent of the Islamic resistance movement. By adopting Islam as its way of life, the movement goes back to the time of the birth of the Islamic message, of the righteous ancestor, for Allah as its target, the Prophet is its example, and the Quran is its constitution. Its extent in place is anywhere that there are Muslims who embrace Islam as their way of life everywhere on the globe. This being so, He extends to the depths of the earth and reaches out to the heaven. Then it's another verse. Dost thou not see how Allah putteth forth a parable, representing a good word, a good tree, whose root is firmly fixed in the earth, and whose branches reach upon to heaven, which bringeth forth its fruit in all the seasons by will of its Lord. Allah propoundeth parables unto men, that they may be instructed. Article 6. The Islamic resistance movement is a distinguished Palestinian movement whose allegiance to Allah is to Allah, and his way of life is Islam. It strives to raise the banner of Allah over every inch of Palestine, for under the wing of Islam, followers of all religions, can coexist in security, sure, and safety where their lives, possessions, and rights are concerned. In the absence of Islam, strife will be rife, oppression spreads, evil prevails, and schisms and wars will break out. I wonder who starts them. How excellent was the Muslim poet Muhammad Iqbal when he wrote, "If faith is lost, there is no security, and there is no life for him who does not adhere to religion. He who accepts life without religion has taken annihilation as his companion for life." Article 7. As a result of the fact that those Muslims who adhere to the ways of the Islamic resistance movement and spread all over the world rally support for it, and as it stands, strive towards enhancing its struggle, the movement is a universal one. It is well equipped for that because of the clarity of its ideology, the nobility of its aim, and the loftiness of his objectives. On this basis, the movement should be viewed and evaluated, and its role be recognized. He who denies its right, evades supporting it, and turns a blind eye to facts, whether intentionally or unintentionally, would awaken to see that events have overtaken him, and with no logic to justify his attitude. One should certainly learn from past examples. The injustice of next of kin is harder to bear than the smite of the Indian sword. Quote, "We have also sent down unto thee the book of Quran with truth, confirming that scripture which was revealed before it, and preserving the same safe from corruption. Judge therefore between them according to that which Allah hath revealed, and follow not their desires by swerving from the truth which hath come unto thee. Unto every of you we have given the law, an open path, and if Allah had pleased, he had surely made you one people, but he hath thought it fit to give you different laws, that he might try you in that which he had given you respectively. Therefore strive to excel each other in good works. Unto Allah shall ye all return, and then he will declare unto you the concerning which ye have disagreed." The Islamic resistance movement is one of the links in the chain of struggle against the Zionist invaders. It goes back to 1939. Oh, there was no state of Israel in 1939, not that I can remember. To the emergence of the martyr Izz al-Din al-Qassam, and his brethren, the fighters, members of the Muslim Brotherhood. It goes on to reach out and become one with another chain that includes the struggle of the Palestinians and the Muslim Brotherhood in the 1948 war and the jihad operations of the Muslim Brotherhood in 1968 and after, Fedayeen. Moreover, if the links have been distant from each other, and if obstacles placed by those who are the lackeys of Zionism in the way of the fighters obstructed the continuation of the struggle, the Islamic resistance movement aspires to the realization of Allah's promise, no matter how long that should take. The Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, has said, the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews, when the Jew will hide behind stones and trees. The stones and trees will say, O Muslim, O Abdullah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him. Only the Garkat tree is a thorny kind of tree, would not do that because it is one of the trees of the Jews. This is in Quran, Al-Bukhari. Article 8. Allah is its target, the Prophet is its model, the Quran is its constitution. Jihad is its path, and death for the sake of Allah is the loftiest of its wishes. Okay, now this is objectives, incentives and objectives. Article 9. The Islamic resistance movement found itself at a time when Islam has disappeared from life. Thus, rules shook, concepts were upset, values changed, and evil people took control. Oppression and darkness prevailed. Cowards became like tigers. Homelands were usurped. People were scattered and were caused to wander all over the world. The state of justice disappeared, and the state of falsehood replaced it. Nothing remained in its right place. Thus, when Islam is absent from the arena, everything changes. From this state of affairs, the incentives are drawn. As for the objectives, they are the fighting against the false, defeating it and vanquishing it so that justice could prevail, homelands be retrieved, and from its mosques would the voice of the muezzin emerge, declaring the establishment of the state of Islam, so that people and things would return each to their right places, and Allah is our helper. And if Allah had not prevented them, the one by the other, verily the earth had been corrupted, but Allah is beneficent towards His creatures. This is from Quran. Article 10. As the Islamic resistance movement paves its way, it will back the oppressed and support the wrong with all its might. It will spare no effort to bring about justice and defeat injustice in word and deed, in this place and everywhere it can reach and have influence therein. Strategies and methods. This is strategies of the Islamic resistance movement. Palestine is Islamic Waqf. I don't know, AQF. Okay, Article 11. The Islamic resistance movement believes that the land of Palestine is Islamic Waqf, like brotherhood, consecrated for future Muslim generations until Judgment Day. It or any part of it should not be squandered. It or any part of it should not be given up. Neither a single Arab country nor all Arab countries, neither any king or president, nor all the kings and presidents, neither any organization nor all of them, be they Palestinian or Arab, if there's a difference, possess the right to do that. So basically, when what's his name, the guy from Egypt, made a deal with Menachem Begin, he was assassinated. We saw the result. Palestine is an Islamic Waqf consecrated with Muslim. Okay. For Muslim generations till Judgment Day. This being so, who could claim to have the right to represent Muslim generations till Judgment Day? This is the law governing the land of Palestine in the Islamic Sharia law. And the same goes for any land the Muslims have conquered by force, because during the times of Islamic conquest, the Muslims consecrated these lands to Muslim generations until the Day of Judgment, meaning basically whatever they conquer, no matter who reconquers, so to speak, takes it back, it's always theirs. In their mind, it always belongs to them. Doesn't matter. It happened like this. When the leaders of the Islamic armies conquered Syria and Iraq, they sent the Caliph of the Muslims, Umar ibn al-Khattab, asking for his advice concerning the conquered land, whether they should divide it among the soldiers, or leave it for its owners, or what. After consultations and discussions between the Caliph of the Muslims, Umar ibn Khattab, the companions of the Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, it was decided that the land should be left with its owners, who could benefit by its fruit. As for the real ownership of the land and the land itself, it should be consecrated for Muslim generations till Judgment Day. Those who are on the land are there only to benefit from its fruit. This waqf remains as long as earth and heaven remain. Any procedure in contradiction to Islamic Sharia, where Palestine is concerned, is null and void. So basically, anything, the Jews being there is just not acceptable. Verily, this is a certain truth. Wherefore, praise the name of thy Lord, the great Allah. Okay, homeland and nationalism from the point of view of Islamic resistance movement in Palestine. Article 12. Nationalism. From the point of view of the Islamic resistance movement is part of the religious creed. Nothing in nationalism is more significant or deeper than in the case when an enemy should tread Muslim land. Resisting and quelling the enemy become the individual duty of every Muslim, male or female. A woman could go out to fight the enemy without her husband's permission, and so does the slave without his master's permission. Nothing of the sort is to be found in any other regime. This is an undisputed fact. If other nationalist movements are connected with materialistic, human, or regional causes, nationalism of the Islamic resistance movement has all these elements, as well as the more important elements that give it soul and life. It is connected to the source of spirit and grantor of life, hoisting in the sky of the homeland the heavenly banner that joins earth and heaven with a strong bond. If Moses comes and throws his staff, both witch and magic are annulled. Now is the right direction, quote, now is the right direction manifestly distinguished from deceit. Whoever therefore shall deny Tagut, I guess it's like some sort of idol, and believe in Allah, he shall surely take hold of the strong handle, which shall not be broken. Allah is he who heareth and seeth. Who is Tagut? Tagut. Tagut is, this is worshipping Avodah Zarah, worshipping something other than God. Tagut is a fierce tyrannical entity that doesn't accept Allah, his religion, or anything other than its own strength. It considers itself to be self-sufficient and self-righteous.
Can I interject for a second?
Sure.
The only comparisons between Judaism and Islam are I think they seem to me superficial.
Yeah.
In the sense that I guess you can call them, bless you, I guess they can call them monotheistic because they worship a god.
Yeah.
And they don't worship other gods.
Yeah.
Okay, I suppose that's monotheism.
Yeah.
But the way they describe God is nothing like the Torah's description of God. The one God that they serve is the same God that used to be just part of their pantheon, their pagan pantheon.
Yeah.
Okay? He was a Baal-like God.
Yeah.
Who demands the same type of tributes, blood, human sacrifice and all this kind of stuff. So so they still worship a pagan god.
Yeah.
So any kind of comparison, like when you say halal and kosher,
no.
When they say paganism or polytheism, don't say avodah zarah. There is no comparison.
Yeah.
And I think people need to start waking up to that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
All right. Article 13. Initiatives and so-called peaceful solutions and international conferences are in contradiction to the principle of the Islamic resistance movement. Abusing any part of Palestine is abuse directed against part of religion. Nationalism of the Islamic resistance movement is part of its religion. Its members have been fed on that. For the sake of hoisting the banner of Allah over their homeland, they fight. Allah will be prominent, but most people do not know. Now and then the call goes out for the convening of international conference to look for ways of solving the Palestinian question. Some accept, others reject the idea for this or other reason, with one stipulation or more for consent to convening the conference and participating in it. Knowing the parties constituting the conference, their past and present attitudes towards Muslim problems, the Islamic resistance movement does not consider these conferences capable of realizing the demands, restoring the rights, or doing justice to the oppressed. These conferences are only ways of setting the infidels in the land of the Muslims as arbitrators. When did the infidels do justice to the believers? Quote, but the Jews will not be pleased with thee, neither the Christians unto thou follow their religion. Say, the direction of Allah is the true direction, the verily of if thou follow their desires after the knowledge which hath been given thee, thou shalt find no patron or protector against Allah. There is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad. Initiatives, proposals, and international conferences are all a waste of time and vain endeavors. The Palestinian people know better than to consent to having their future, rights, and fate toyed with. As is said in the honorable Hadith, the people of Syria are Allah's lash in his hand. He wreaks his vengeance through them against whomsoever he wishes among his slaves. It is unthinkable that those who are double-faced among them should prosper over the faithful. They will certainly die out of grief and desperation. Article 14. The question of the liberation of Palestine is bound to three circles: the Palestinian circle, the Arab circle, and the Islamic circle. Each of these circles has its role in the struggle against Zionism. Each has its duties, and it is a horrible mistake and a sign of deep ignorance to overlook any of these circles. Palestine is an Islamic land which has the first of the two Qiblas, direction to which Muslims turn in praying, the third of the holy Islamic sanctuaries, and the point of departure from Muhammad's midnight journey to the seven heavens. This is Jerusalem. This is the Temple Mount. Quote, praise be unto him who transported a servant by night from the sacred temple of Mecca to the farther temple of Jerusalem. It's actually, Al-Aqsa and Al-Adna. The circuit of which we have blessed that we might show him some of our signs. For Allah, he is who heareth and seeth. This is, by the way, it's Al-Aqsa and Al-Adna in Arabic, and More Hakedar explains that it's a mosque in Saudi Arabia, actually, the real Al-Aqsa, which just means the further mosque. The closer mosque and the further mosque. This is where Muhammad prayed. Since then, this is the case. Liberation of Palestine is then an individual duty for every Muslim, wherever he may be. On this basis, the problem should be viewed. This should be realized by every Muslim. The day the problem is dealt with on this basis, when the three circles mobilize their capabilities, the present state of affairs will change and the day of liberation will come nearer. Verily, ye are stronger than they, by the reason of the terror cast into their breasts from Allah. This because they are not people of prudence. Article 15. The day that enemies usurp part of Muslim land, jihad becomes the individual duty of every Muslim. In the face of the Jews' usurpation of Palestine, it is compulsory that the banner of jihad be raised. To do this requires the diffusion of Islamic consciousness among the masses, both on the regional, Arab, and Islamic levels. It is necessary to instill... Goodness gracious. Just one sec, sir. I'm just getting knocked on the door. Sorry, we have a dog situation in the house. Okay. All right. To do this requires, okay, both on the regional, Arab, and Islamic levels, it is necessary to instill the spirit of jihad in the heart of the nation so that they will confront the enemies and join the ranks of the fighters. It is necessary that scientists, educators, and teachers, and information and media people, as well as the educated masses, especially the youth and sheikhs of the Islamic movements, should take part in the operation of awakening the masses. It is important that basic changes be made in the school curriculum to cleanse it of the traces of ideological invasion that affected it as a result of the Orientalists and missionaries who infiltrated the region following the defeat of the Crusaders at the hands of Salah al-Din. Yeah, you see, the UNRWA, they did that successfully. The Crusaders realized that it was impossible to defeat the Muslims without first having ideological invasion pave the way by upsetting their thoughts, disfiguring their heritage, and violating their ideals. Only then could they invade with soldiers. This, in turn, paved the way for the imperialistic invasion that made Allenby declare on entering Jerusalem, "Only now have the Crusades ended." General Guru stood at Salah al-Din's grave and said, "We have returned, O Salah al-Din." Imperialism has helped towards the strengthening of ideological invasion and deepening, and it still does its roots. All this has paved the way towards the loss of Palestine. It is necessary to instill in the minds of the Muslim generations that the Palestinian problem is a religious problem that should be dealt with on this basis. Palestine contains Islamic holy sites. In it, there is Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is bound to the great mosque in Mecca, in an inseparable bond as long as heaven and earth speak of Isra. This is Muhammad's midnight journey to the seven heavens. And Miraj, Muhammad's ascension to the seven heavens from Jerusalem. By the way, Obama mentioned this in his speech in Cairo. Like, he knows this. He knows his stuff, man. The guy spent, his first 8-9 years in a madrasa in Indonesia. The bond of one day for the sake of Allah is better than the world and whatever there is on it. The place of one's whip in paradise is far better than the world and whatever there is on it. A worshipper's going and coming in the service of Allah is better than the world and whatever there is on it. This is in Al-Bukhari. I swear by the holder of Muhammad's soul that I would like to invade and be killed for the sake of Allah, then invade and be killed, and then invade again and be killed. As related, and this is also Quran. This is why they keep saying, I wish for another October 7th. They keep we have another 1,000 October 7th. Article 16. It is necessary to follow Islamic orientation in educating the Islamic generations in our region by teaching the religious duties, comprehensive study of the Quran, the study of the Prophet's Sunnah, his sayings and doings, and learning about Islamic history and heritage from their authentic sources. This should be done by specialized and learned people using a curriculum that would healthfully form the thoughts and faith of the Muslim student. Side by side with this, a comprehensive study of the enemy, his human and financial capabilities, learning about his points of weakness and strength, and getting to know the forces supporting and helping him should also be included. Also, it is important to be acquainted with the current events, to follow what is new, and to study the analysis and commentaries made of these events. Planning for the present and future, studying every trend appearing is a must so that the fighting Muslim would live knowing his aim, objective, and his way in the midst of what is going on around him. O my son, verily every matter, whether good or bad, though it be the weight of grain of mustard seed and be hidden in a rock or in the heavens or in the earth, Allah will bring the same to light, for Allah is clear-sighted and knowing. O my son, be constant in prayer, and command that which is just, and forbid that which is evil, and be patient under the afflictions which shall befall thee. For this is a duty absolutely incumbent on all men. Distort not thy face out of contempt to men, neither walk in the earth with insolence, for Allah loveth no arrogant, vainglorious person. Article 17. The Muslim woman has a role, no less important than that of the Muslim man in the battle of liberation. She is the maker of men. Her role in guiding and educating new generations is great. The enemies have raised the importance of her role. By the way, Arafat used to say, my greatest weapon is the womb of the Arab woman. They consider that if they are able to direct and bring her up the way they wish, far from Islam, they would have won the battle. That is why you find them giving these attempts constant attention through information campaigns, films, and school curriculum, using for that purpose their lackeys who are infiltrated through Zionist organizations under various names and shapes, such as Freemasons, Rotary clubs, espionage groups, and others, which are all nothing more than the cells of subversion and saboteurs. I feel like reading this in Cartman voice. These organizations have ample resources that enable them to play their role in societies for the purpose of achieving the Zionist targets and to deepen the concepts that would serve the enemy. These organizations operate in the absence of Islam and its estrangement among its people. The Islamic peoples should perform their role in confronting the conspiracies of these saboteurs. The day Islam is in control of guiding the affairs of life, these organizations, hostile to humanity and Islam, will be obliterated. Article 18. Woman in the home of the fighting family, whether she is a mother or a sister, plays the most important role in looking after the family, rearing the children, and imbuing them with moral values and thoughts derived from Islam. Yeah, like stabbing little kids in a freaking mall in Israel. You know, teaching the little son to stab or shoot the kid, stab him. Israeli toddler.
Or it's good to rape the Jewish girl before you stab her to death.
Yeah.
Or while you're stabbing her. Good morals.
Yeah.
Fucking creatures.
Yeah. She has to teach him to perform the religious duties in preparation for the role of fighting, awaiting them. That is why it is necessary to pay great attention to schools and curriculum followed in educating Muslim girls so that they will grow up to be good mothers, aware of their role in the battle of liberation. She has to be of sufficient knowledge and understanding where the performance of housekeeping matters are concerned, because economy and avoidance of waste of the family budget is one of the requirements for the ability to continue moving forward in the difficult conditions surrounding us. She should put before her eyes the fact that the money available to her is just like blood, which should never flow except through the veins so that both children and grown-ups would continue to live. Verily, the Muslims of either sex and true believers of either sex of devout men and devout women and men of veracity and women of veracity and the patient men and the patient women and the humble men and the humble women and the aim givers of either sex who remember Allah frequently, for them hath Allah prepared forgiveness and a great reward. Article 19. Islamic art. Art has its regulations and measures by which it can be determined whether it is Islamic or pre-Islamic. Okay. The issues of Islamic liberation are in need of Islamic art that would take the spirit high without raising one side of human nature above the other, but rather raise all of them harmoniously in an equilibrium. Man is a unique and wonderful creature made out of a handful of clay and bread from Allah.
Bro, this is straight out of the communist.
Yeah.
Our friend Owana talks about socialist realism, soak realism.
Yeah, this fruitcake crap. Yeah. Amazing. This is made out of a handful of clay and bread from Allah. Islamic art addresses man on this basis, while pre-Islamic art addresses the body, giving preference to the clay component in it. The book, the article, the bulletin, the sermon, the thesis, the popular poem, the poetic ode, the song, the play, and others contain the characteristics of Islamic art. Then these are among the requirements of ideological mobilization, renewed food for the journey, and recreation for the soul. The road is long and suffering is plenty. The soul will be bored, but Islamic art renews the energies, resurrects the movement, arousing them in lofty meanings and proper conduct. Nothing can improve the self if it is in retreat except for shifting from one mood to another. All this is utterly serious and no jest, for those who are fighters do not jest. Amazing. Article 20. This is a social mutual responsibility. Muslim society is a mutually responsible society. The Prophet, prayers and greetings be unto him, said, Blessed are the generous, whether they were in town or on a journey, who have collected all that they had and shared it equally among themselves. Commie alert, commie alert. The Islamic spirit is what should prevail in every Muslim society. The society that confronts a vicious enemy, which acts in a similar way to Nazism, making no differentiation between man and woman, between children and old people. Such a society is entitled to this Islamic spirit. Our enemy relies on the methods of collective punishment. He has deprived people of their homeland and properties, pursued them in places of exile and gathering, breaking bones, shooting at women, children, and old people, with or without a reason. The enemy has opened detention camps where thousands and thousands of people are thrown and kept under subhuman conditions. Added to this are the demolition of houses, rendering children orphans, meting cruel sentences against thousands of young people, and causing them to spend the best years of their lives in dungeons of the prisons. Yeah, I mean, like, we just wake up and want to do that for no fucking reason. Pardon my language. There's no reason we do that. In their Nazi treatment, the Jews made no exception of women or children. Their policy of striking fear in the heart is meant for all. They attack people where their breadwinning is concerned, extorting their money and threatening their honor. They deal with people as if they were the worst war criminals. Deportation from the homeland is a kind of murder.
They are the worst war
They
criminals.
are. That's how we deal with you.
Everything that they are describing happens to people after they commit a terrorist, meaning after they murder a Jew or a couple of Jews.
Yeah. To counter these deeds, it is necessary that social mutual responsibility should prevail among the people. The enemy should be faced by the people as a single body, which if one member of it should complain, the rest of the body would respond by feeling the same pains. Article 21, we're almost there. Mutual social responsibility means extending assistance, financial and moral, to all those who are in need and joining the execution of some of the work. Members of the Islamic resistance movement should consider the interests of the masses as their own personal interests. They must spare no effort in achieving and preserving them. They must prevent any foul play with the future of the upcoming generations and anything that could cause loss to society. The masses are part of them, and they are part of the masses. Their strength is theirs, and their future is theirs. Members of the Islamic resistance movement should share the people's joy and grief, adopt the demands of the public in whatever means by which they could be realized. The day that such a spirit prevails, brotherliness would deepen, cooperation, sympathy, and unity will be enhanced, and the ranks will be solidified to confront the enemies. Article 22. For a long time, the enemies have been planning skillfully, with precision, for the achievement of what they have attained. They took into consideration the causes affecting the current of events. They strive to amass great and substantive material wealth, which they devoted to the realization of their dream. With their money, they took control of the world media. Here we go. News agencies, the press, publishing houses, broadcasting stations, and others. With their money, they stirred revolutions in various parts of the world with the purpose of achieving their interests and reaping the fruit therein. They were behind the French Revolution, the Communist Revolution, and most of the revolutions we heard and hear about here and there. With their money, they formed secret societies such as Freemasons, Rotary Clubs, the Lions, and other different parts of the world for the purpose of sabotaging societies and achieving Zionist interests. With their money, they were able to control imperialistic countries and instigate them to colonize many countries in order to enable them to exploit their resources and spread corruption there. You may speak as much as you want about regional and world wars. They were behind World War I, when they were able to destroy the Islamic Caliphate, making financial gains and controlling resources. They obtained the Balfour Declaration, formed the League of Nations, through which they could rule the world. They were behind World War II. Yeah, the UN, which is basically against us, Israel, completely. They're behind World War II, through which they made huge financial gains by trading in armaments and paved the way for the establishment of their state. It was they who instigated the replacement of the League of Nations with the United Nations, and the Security Council, which is full of Iran and all these people, to enable them to rule the world through them. There is no war going on anywhere without having their finger in it. So often as they shall kindle the fire of war, for war, Allah shall extinguish it, and they shall set their minds to act corruptly in the earth. But Allah loveth not the corrupt doers. The imperialistic forces in the capitalist West and communist East support the enemy with all their might, in money and in men. These forces take turns in doing that. The day Islam appears, the forces of infidelity would unite to challenges, for the infidels are of one nation. O true believers, contract not an intimate friendship with any besides yourself. They will not fail to corrupt you. They wish for that which may cause you to perish. Their hatred hath already appeared from out of their mouths, but what their breasts conceal is yet more inveterate. We have already shown you signs of their ill will towards you, if you understand. It is not in vain that the verse is ended with Allah's words, if ye understand. Article 23. The Islamic resistance movement views other Islamic movements with respect and appreciation. If it were at variance with them on one point or opinion, it is in agreement with them on other points and understandings. It considers these movements, if they reveal good intentions dedicated to Allah, that they fall into the category of those who are trying hard. Since they act within the Islamic circle, each active person has his share. The Islamic resistance movement considers all these movements as a fund for itself. It prays to Allah for guidance and directions for all, and it spares no effort to keep the banner of unity raised, ever striving for its realization in accordance with the Quran and Prophet's directives. And cleave all of you unto the covenant of Allah, and depart not from it, and remember the favor of Allah towards you, since ye were enemies, and He reconciled your hearts, and ye became companions and brethren in His favor, and you were on the brink of a pit of fire, He delivered you thence. Allah declared unto you His signs, and ye may be directed. I think they're referring to the whole Shiite-Sunni thing. So you see, well, I don't know how united they are, but you see Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas, all this stuff. Even though Iran's going to swallow them. Article 24. The Islamic resistance movement does not allow slandering or speaking ill of individuals or groups, nor for the believer does not indulge in such malpractices. It is necessary... One second. It is necessary to differentiate between this behavior and the stands taken by certain individuals and groups. Whenever those stands are erroneous, the Islamic resistance movement preserves the right to expound the error and to warn against it. It will strive to show the right path and to judge the case in question with objectivity. Wise conduct is indeed the target of the believer who follows it wherever he discerns it. Allah loveth not the speaking ill of anyone in public, unless he who is injured call for assistance, and Allah heareth and knoweth, whether you publish a good action or conceal it or forgive evil. Verily, Allah is gracious and powerful. Article 25. The Islamic resistance movement respects these movements and appreciates their circumstances and the conditions surrounding and affecting them. It encourages them as long as they do not give their allegiance to the communist East or the crusading West, even though they gave their allegiance to the communist East. Unbelievable. It confirms to all those who are integrated in it or sympathetic towards it that the Islamic resistance movement is a fighting movement that has a moral and enlightened look of life and the way it should cooperate with other movements. It detests opportunism, and desires only the good of people, individuals, and groups alike. It does not seek material gains, personal fame, nor does it look for a reward from others. It works with its own resources and whatever as it is at its disposal, and prepare for them whatever efforts you can for the fulfillment of the duty and earning of Allah's favor. It has no other desire than that. The movement assures all the nationalist trends operating in the Palestinian arena for the liberation of Palestine that is there for their support and assistance. It will never be more than that, both in words and in deeds, now and in the future. It is there to bring together and not divide, to preserve and not to squander, to unify and not to throw asunder. It evaluates every good word, sincere effort, and good offices. It closes the door in the face of side agreements and does not lend an ear to rumors and slanders, while at the same time fully realizing the right of self-defense. Anything contrary or contradictory to these trends is a lie disseminated by enemies or their lackeys for the purpose of sowing confusion, disrupting the ranks, and occupying them with side issues. O true believers, if a wicked man come unto you with a tale, inquire strictly into the truth thereof, lest ye hurt people through ignorance, and afterwards repent of what ye have done. Article 26. In viewing the Palestinian nationalist movements that give allegiance neither to the East nor the West, in this positive way, the Islamic resistance movement does not refrain from discussing new situations on the regional or international levels where the Palestinian question is concerned. It does not It does that in such an objective manner, revealing the extent of how much it is in harmony or contradiction with the national interest in the light of the Islamic point of view. Article 27. The PLO is the closest to the heart of the Islamic resistance movement. It contains the father and the brother, the next of kin, and the friend. The Muslim does not estrange himself from his father, brother, next of kin, or friend. Our homeland is one, our situation is one, our fate is one, and the enemy is a joint enemy to all of us. Because of the situation surrounding the formation of the organization, the PLO, of the ideological confusion prevailing in the Arab world as a result of the ideological confusion under whose influence the Arab world has fallen since the defeat of the Crusaders, and which was and still is intensified through the Orientalists, missionaries, and imperialists, the organization adopted the idea of the secular state. And that is how we view it. Secularism completely contradicts religious ideology. Attitudes, conduct, and decisions stem from ideologies. That is why, with all of our appreciation for the PLO and what it can develop into, and without belittling its role in the Arab-Israeli conflict, we're unable to exchange the present or future Islamic Palestine with the secular idea. The Islamic nature of Palestine is part of our religion, and whoever takes this religion lightly is a loser.
Greg, I'm finding it like
unbearable.
Unbearable. You know what it's like? It's like,
yeah.
Do you remember that the end of the movie Seven?
It gets better. Yeah.
It's not something I want to play here, but you know, at the end of the movie, they found out that he wrote like millions of notes in like in like 100,000 like notebooks.
Yeah.
And you know, he's just going on and on and on, raving like.
I mean, it's almost Sorry.
Exactly what it's like. These are psychopathic murderers.
Yeah.
Just love the sound of their own voice.
But we should read this because there's specific things here that it's almost over.
All right.
The day the PLO adopts Islam as its way of life, we will become its soldiers and fuel for its fire that burn the enemies. Until such a day, and we pray to Allah that it will be soon, the Islamic resistance movement stands towards the PLO is that of a son towards his father, the brother towards his brother, relative to relative, suffers his pain, supports him in confronting the enemies, wishing him to be wise and well guided. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. 28. The Zionist invasion is a vicious invasion. It does not refrain from resorting to all methods, using all evil and contemptible ways to achieve its end. It relies greatly in its infiltration and espionage operations on secret organizations it gave rise to, such as Freemasons, the Rotary and Lions clubs, and other sabotage groups. I think like when they're saying this, I think of like those guys in like the hats, It's ridiculous. All these organizations, whether secret or open, work in the interest of Zionism. Yeah, sure, I wish. According to its instructions. It's a bunch of whatever, Italian guys. They aim at undermining societies, destroying values, corrupting consciences, deteriorating character, and annihilating Islam. It is behind the drug trade and alcoholism in all its kinds, so as to facilitate its control and expansion. Arab countries surrounding Israel are asked to open their borders before the fighters from among the Arab and Islamic nations so that they can consolidate their efforts with those of the Muslim brethren in Palestine. By the way, Hezbollah just asked Hamas to help, or vice versa. As for the other Arab Islamic countries, they are asked to facilitate the movement of the fighters from and to it, and this is the least thing they could do. We should not forget to remind every Muslim that when the Jews conquered the Holy City in 1967, they stood at the threshold of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and proclaimed that Muhammad is dead and his descendants are all women. We actually did not do that, but we should have done that. We did not do it. Israel, Judaism, and Jews challenge Islam and the Muslim people. May the cowards never sleep. The Islamic resistance movement hopes that all these groupings will side with it in all spheres, would support it and adopt its stand and solidify its activities and moves, work towards rallying support for it so that the Islamic people will be a base and a stay for it, supplying it with strategic depth and all human, material, and informative spheres in time and in place. This should be done through the coveting of solidarity conferences, the issuing of explanatory bulletins, favorable articles and booklets, enlightening the masses regarding the Palestinian issue, clarifying what confronts it and conspiracies woven around it. They should mobilize the Islamic nations ideologically, educationally, and culturally so that these people would be equipped to perform their role in the decisive battle of liberation, just as they did when they vanquished the Crusaders and the Tatars and save human civilization. Indeed, it is not difficult for Allah. Article 30. Writers, intellectuals, media people, orators, educators, and teachers in all the various sectors in the Arab Islamic world, all of them are called upon to perform their role and to fulfill their duty because of the ferocity of the Zionist offensive and the Zionist influence in many countries, exercised through financial and media control, as well as consequences that all this lead to in the greater part of the world. Jihad is not confined to the carrying of arms and confrontation of the enemy. The effective word, the good article, the useful book, support and solidarity, together with the presence of sincere purpose for the hosting of Allah's banner and higher, all these elements of jihad for Allah's sake. 31. The Islamic resistance movement is a humanistic movement. It takes care of human rights and is guided by Islamic tolerance when dealing with the followers of other religions. It does not antagonize any one of them except for if it's antagonized by it or stands in its way to hamper its moves and waste its efforts. Under the wing of Islam, it is possible for the followers of the three religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, to coexist in peace and quiet with each other. Peace and quiet would not be possible except under the wing of Islam. Past, present, history are the best to witness that. It is the duty of the followers of other religions to stop disputing the sovereignty of Islam in this region, because the day these followers should take over, there will be nothing but carnage, displacement, and terror. Every one of them is at variance with his fellow religionists, not to speak about followers of other religions. Past, present, and history are full of examples to prove this fact. They will not, this is a whole quote, Islam confers upon everyone his legitimate rights. Islam prevents the incursion on other people's rights. The Zionist Nazi activities against our people will not last for long. 32. World Zionism. Together with imperialistic powers, try through a studied plan and intelligent strategy to remove one Arab state after another from the circle of struggle against Zionism in order to have its finally face the Palestinian people only. Egypt was to a great extent removed from the circle of struggle through treacherous Camp David agreement. They are trying to draw other Arab countries into similar agreements to bring them outside the circle of struggle. The Islamic resistance movement calls on Arab and Islamic nations to take up the line of serious and persevering action to prevent the success of this horrendous plan, to warn the people of the dangers emanating from leaving the circle of struggle against Zionism. Today it is Palestine, tomorrow it is one country or another. The Zionist plan is limitless. After Palestine, the Zionists aspire to expand from the Nile to the Euphrates. When they will have digested the region they overtook, they will aspire to further expansion, and so on. Their plan is embodied in the protocols of the elders of Zion, and their present conduct is the best proof of what we are saying. Leaving the circle of struggle with Zionism is a high treason, and cursed be he who does that. There is no way out except by concentrating all powers and energies to face this Nazi vicious Tatar invasion. Oh, we're Tatars now. Okay, that's cool. The alternative is loss of one's country, the dispersion of its citizens, the spread of vice on earth, and the destruction of religious values. Let every person know that he is responsible before Allah. For the doer of the slightest good deed is rewarded, and like and does the slightest, does of the slightest evil, his deed is also rewarded. The Islamic resistance movement considers itself to be the spearhead of the circle of struggle with world Zionism and the step on the road. The movement adds its efforts to the efforts of all those who are active in the Palestinian arena. Arab and Islamic people should augment by further steps on their part. Islamic groupings all over the Arab world should also do the same, since all of these are the best equipped for the future role in the fight with the warmongering Jews. 33. The Islamic resistance movement, being based on the common, coordinated, and independent conceptions of the laws of the universe and flowing from in the stream of destiny in confronting and fighting the enemies in defense of the Muslims and Islamic civilization and sacred sites, the first among which is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, urges the Arab and Islamic people, their governments, popular and official groupings to fear Allah where their view of the Islamic resistance movement and their dealings with it are concerned. They should back and support it as Allah wants them to, extending it to more and more funds till Allah's purpose is achieved, when ranks will close up, fighters join other fighters, and masses everywhere in the Islamic world will come forward in response to the call of duty while broadly proclaiming hail to jihad. Yeah, the guy from Algeria, the president, wants to, he said, I'm ready to go to Jerusalem. Clown. Their cry will reach the heavens and will go on being resounded until liberation is achieved, the invaders vanquished, and Allah's victory comes out. 34, almost there. Palestine is the navel of the globe and crossroad of the continents.
Time out.
Yes.
Oh, they just screwed themselves with the wording. I'm actually glad that I sat through this and suffered through listening to this.
Yes.
They made a big mistake just now.
No.
Go back.
Okay.
Read their cry will where?
Their cry will reach the heavens and will go on being resounded until liberation is achieved.
Whose liberation? Where else did we ever hear the cry was unto the heavens?
Yeah.
Where, do you remember where that wording was used?
This specifically? I mean, a lot of places.
It's Mitzrayim.
Yes.
In the Exodus, folks, it says that the cry of the Israelites became very great.
Yeah.
It reached the heavens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's when God activated Moses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they better hope that our cry doesn't reach the heavens, because that would be the end for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
The end of jinn, demon, beast, rapist, murderer, scum.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yes.
No hell, no nothing. Just annihilation.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Article 34. There's 36 of them. We're almost done. Palestine is the navel, like the belly button, of the globe and the crossroad of the continents. Okay. Since the dawn of history, it has been the target of expansionists. Okay. The Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, had himself pointed to this fact in a noble hadith in which he called on his honorable companion, Mad ben Jabal, saying, "O Mat, Allah throw open before you, when I am gone, Syria, from Allah reach to the Euphrates. Its men, women, and slaves will stay firmly there till the day of judgment. Whoever of you should choose one of the Syrian shores or the Holy Land, he will be in constant struggle until the day of judgment." Expansionists have more than once put their eye on Palestine, which they have attacked with their armies to fulfill their desires on it. Thus, it was that the Crusaders came with their armies, bringing with them their creed and carrying their cross. They were able to defeat the Muslims for a while, but the Muslims were able to retrieve the land only when they stood under the wing of their religious banner, united their word, hallowed the name of Allah, and surged out fighting under the leadership of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. They fought for almost 20 years, and at the end of the Crusaders were defeated and Palestine was liberated. This is the only way to liberate Palestine. There is no doubt about the testimony of history. It is one of the laws of the universe and one of the rules of existence. Nothing can overcome iron except iron. Their false feudal creed can only be defeated by the righteous Islamic creed. A creed could not be fought except by a creed. And in the last analysis, victory is for the just, for justice certainly victorious. Article 35. The Islamic resistance movement views seriously the defeat of the Crusaders at the hands of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi and the rescuing of Palestine from their hands, as well as the defeat of the Tatars in En Galot, breaking their power at the hands of Qataz and al-Dakhir Beavers. Beavers, saving the Arab world from the Tatar onslaught, which aimed at the destruction of every meaning of human civilization. The movement draws its lessons and examples from all of this. The present Zionist onslaught has also been preceded by crusading raids from the west and other Tatar raids from the east. Just as Muslims faced those raids and planned fighting and defeating them, they should be able to confront the Zionist invasion and defeat it. This is indeed no problem for the Almighty Allah, provided that the intentions are pure, determination is true, and the Muslims have benefited from past experiences, rid themselves of the effects of ideological invasion, and follow the customs of the ancestors. And finally, while paving its way, this is 36, the Islamic resistance movements emphasizes time and again to all the sons of our people, to the Arab Islamic nations, that it does not seek personal fame, material gain, or social prominence. Bull and bull and bull. It does not aim to compete against anyone from among our people or take his place. Nothing of the sort at all. It will not act against any of the sons of Muslims or those who are peaceful towards it from among non-Muslims, be they here or anywhere else. It would only serve as a support for all groupings and organizations against the Zionist enemy and its lackeys. The Islamic resistance movement adopts Islam as its way of life, Islam as its creed and religion. Whoever takes Islam as his way of life, be it organization, a grouping, a country, or any other body, The Islamic resistance movement considers itself as their soldiers and nothing more. We ask Allah to show the right course, to make it as an example to others, judge between us and our people with truth. O Lord, do thou judge between us and our nation with truth, for thou art the best judge. The last of our prayers will be praise to Allah, the master of the universe. That's it.
I just want to, in reference to what, and I interrupted you a minute ago when they said that, that they will fight the Jews and they will punish us to such an extent that our cries will reach to heaven, and then the liberation will come. Well, it's like the prophecy of Bilam.
Yeah, of course.
Which is like this. This is Exodus chapter 2, verse 23, where it says, Vayhi b'yamim horabim hohem v'yamot, and Melech Mitzrayim, and the king of Egypt died. Vaye anhu b'nei Israel min ha'avoda, and the children of Israel were groaning under the weight, the stress of the labor imposed upon them.
Yeah.
Vayizaku, and their cry was very, very great. V'ta'al shevotam el ha'elahim, and to such an extent that it reached God in the heavens. And then it says, I guess I'll read the translation. 1 second.
Yeah.
Verse 24, it says, God heard their cry, and God remembered the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God looked upon the Israelites, and God took notice of them.
Yeah.
So Hamas didn't know what it was saying. But they sowed the seeds of their own destruction with their very own words.
Yeah.